Hey everybody, welcome back to the Anti-Aging Hacks podcast. Today I have a very fascinating interview. I've been wanting to do this for a little while, and my guest here, his name is Philipp von Holtzendorff-Fehling. I'm sorry I butchered that, Philip.
No, that was pretty great actually. It's a difficult name.
It is. It's German. That's why it's difficult for me to say. But welcome. I've actually heard about you from a common friend who said something that's hard to believe, when you're not tuned in to some of the things we'll talk about. But it turned me on to your company, and I was researching it, and then suddenly, we're coming here at the Biohacking Congress in Las Vegas right now, and I had a chance to sit down with Philip and talk about quantum energies and some devices that he's made to help people heal and improve their lives. So with that said, Philip, give us a little background on your backstory and how you got into quantum healing, because I know that you've also got a corporate background and you were a VP at T-Mobile, I believe. And so how did that switch happen from work in corporate America to like in the health and wellness space?
Yeah, well, that's a great question, and I try to be quick, even though it's impossible because it's such a long time. So indeed, I was in corporate Europe and in corporate America for quite a long time, and in the early 2000s, really 2001, I think it started where I realized that there's a lot more to life than just the physical, the material, and only working a job from morning till evening and just focusing on that. So I started to read a little bit about, some mystical schools, learned a lot about meditation and yoga, and started to do meditation and also started to practice yoga. And I did that all in parallel, and then I started to get even more interested and went through the first shamanic workshops. And then I met my wife in 2005. While I was very interested in all that, I was still in corporate Europe. My wife was born with the ability to see aura, and so she never lost this conscious connection to her higher self or inner power, however you want to call it. And that catapulted me even further because all the doubts I had about this unseen world, if you will, faded because I could tell, damn, I don't even have to say anything. She already knows it. It's which can be painful in a relationship, actually, but in a way that was really great. And I kept going with these workshops to learn to do past life regression work. So I used those tools to heal myself, if you will, or get more healing. But I wanted to learn it all so I can help others as well. Mm-hmm. Not really as my full-time job, but I wanted to know how to do it. So I learned that, so I can help others with that. And yeah, at some point in 2016, I reached a point where this part of me had grown so much that I felt like this is the real me, and in the corporate world I had to always play a role, right? You have to be super efficient, you're very brain focused, you're very rational, and you have to make decisions, you have to be super fast. It's all those things that are contrary to just be, be and experience and all that, and it became too much of a stretch. And I realized, okay, I just had to do what's my calling, my inner calling, and appreciated the time in corporate, and I still do today, but I had to start doing my own thing. And from there, I only worked from, what's my calling, and I had impulses coming, so I started a C60 company that's working on carbon 60 supplements. That just came to me out of nowhere almost, and through that, at some point I arrived at quantum technology, and part of that was also my interest really got sparked into alternative health modalities in 2005, because that was my wife got diagnosed with Lyme disease, chronic Lyme disease actually, and that was in 2010. I misspoke, and she had Lyme disease already for 5 years when she got diagnosed. It's interesting, and then she has her own abilities obviously to heal things and all that, but I went in and just looked always for the next best stuff, and I realized, damn, this stuff fascinating me, and this is really who I am. That's where my passion is. Through all my work and what I learned, I got to know some of the best healers in the world. One of them is in Germany, who was born with the ability to see each and every frequency on a very granular level and every vibration. So he could already, as an 11-year-old, look at 300 people that are. He was on stage. There were 300 people, and he could look at each one and see the heartbeat and tell everyone like
Wow.
what physical problems they had and how to fix it. And over time, he learned also how to really fix stuff energetically, and he can do that over distance. He's one of the probably best healers you can find. With him, my wife, and others, we have worked together to develop this technology, which probably we could have not done it without them, to be honest. And yeah, we can certainly talk about that then. But that arrived, at some point, at this point where we have this technology that can do some amazing things. It's really cutting edge.
Hmm. That's great. Thank you for the backstory. Philip talked about seeing an aura. His wife could see an aura. And for folks that think this is woo, this is definitely a woo interview. But I've come across many people in the last few years that can see auras, or they tell me that they can see auras. Which an aura is just the energy field around your body, and your body's always emitting energy. And so some people can actually see that, and certainly energy people that deal with energies or just feel energetics or work on energy. It's something that's I've been getting interested in the last few years, and so that's part of the reason I was also interested in this. But let's talk about quantum energy in particular, Philip. What exactly? How would you succinctly and briefly, because we can talk about quantum for a long time, but what is quantum energy and how is it all connected to us?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I could just say it's too tough to answer, but I'll give my best.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the energy that we have in each cell, for example, and it's the energy behind the matter. So, we are kind of trained to just see and feel the physical, right? This is the table, but we're way more energy than we're anything else, right? So the first thing, we know there's a lot of water in our body, right?
Yep.
That's already a stretch for us to kind of, are we really that much water? But it's true, and we kind of know that. But really behind all that is really energy, and we're way more. We're mainly 99% open space. That's what we are, and then there's the matter in between. And we were able to come up with a technology that can concentrate a pure quantum energy field in between the plates of these blocks that we have, and it's the same energy without any brute force that we have in the cells, and that's why it's so harmonious with the cells, and that's why also these amazing things can happen. That we will go into. We'll go into the science, of course. This is not only woo woo, it's woo woo, until the point where you can see the science. But yeah, so quantum energy is the energy behind it. Some call it the source energy, and it's the energy we need to exist. Also here, we need water. We need some food. We need to breathe to exist, but we need that energy also. If that energy wasn't here, then we couldn't exist.
Yeah. Yeah, like the point that Philip just made is our bodies are very pliable, right? You could push in and your skin goes in. Your bone, though, doesn't, it's not pliable, but it's made of the same atoms. This table, you can't push it in, but it's made of the same material or the same atoms in the universe. So it's really interesting how most of the universe there is no matter, it's just empty space as well. So the next question would be, Philip, now that we know, okay, we've defined what quantum energy is. It's the energy behind all the matter. How have you been able to harness it into multiple devices that you've created? Like, was that, and I don't mean to pry your proprietary method, but could you give us more explanation of how you got to this?
It is indeed the only thing that I can't really share. It was a mix of a lot of scientific testing and working with these amazing healers and their ability to finally arrive at a point where we were able to concentrate it, and not only concentrate it in that way, but also make it without any brute force and bring it up to a level strong enough to have a real impact. Because there's some companies out there that claim that they work with quantum energy. Usually that's actually not true. Most of those work with earthbound energies, which we don't work with earthbound energies, like from crystals or so. It's really pure quantum energy. And if they do, then they just have a little bit of that energy in their devices, and then they amplify it with magnetic brute force or electricity, and both actually destabilize the field. And then what happens, it actually, you can still feel it, and you may even feel it more because it has this, we can feel magnetic force and electricity quite well physically, but it actually stresses the energetic system. And that's exactly what we didn't want to have, because we wanted something that is really fully harmonious. And yeah, so with scientists and our healers together, we created that, but we can't tell like how the original process happened that we charged those.
Yeah.
But what I can tell is that this technology, we don't hide it at all. As a matter of fact, everybody can acquire it. We made that decision because we wanted this technology not only for ourselves, we wanted that everybody has access to it. So the extension of our technology is the so-called quantum block and infinity block, and everybody can purchase it. And then, you can become pretty much energy independent in terms of quantum energy.
Okay, so let's say that you're able to purchase one of the devices that you have that allows you to tap into the quantum energy. Is that a healing energy? Is that reversing disease? Is that musculoskeletal? Like, to the end person, when they wear a device or they use, the quantum block or the other block, the infinity block, what are the practical applications for them?
Yeah, good question. So the first thing is, it's super simple to use. Like, it couldn't be more simple, so that's the first thing. So it's nothing where you need to be a scientist in order to operate it. No, everybody can. Like, every 6-year-old or 5-year-old can already use it. The first application is you just have it in your home or your office or in your farm, and you don't need to do anything with it. It harmonizes the whole area in that house and around. And our various devices have various radius. The quantum block covers the whole home. The infinity block would already cover a whole farm. And it harmonizes, neutralizes all negative frequencies. I should not say negative, but everything that's harmful or destructive to life. That is what it neutralizes, including EMF. So whether it's 3G, 4G, 5G, all of that gets neutralized. And then the question is, what does that mean, neutralize or harmonize, right? It doesn't mean blocking. We have clothing that actually blocks EMF, but in this case, if you have this device at home, you don't want it to block EMF because you work with your Wi-Fi and you need your cell phone to work and all that, but it harmonizes it in a way where EMF isn't harmful to your energetic system nor your physical body anymore. And I could tell you all day long, and then you're like, that guy's just talking. That's why we started very early on to work on the science. And so we have multiple doctors' offices and various really high-level institutes in 3 different continents that have tested our products. And by now we have not only performed multiple tests and experiments, but lots of studies, including double-blind studies that were randomized and sham-controlled to rule out any placebo effects that there may be.
Right.
And the results are fascinating.
So let's talk about one particular application first, which you just touched on, which is EMFs. We know that there's all kinds of EMFs now in our houses. There's electrical devices that have ELFs, which doesn't go that far, so maybe that's not so much of a concern. But the Bluetooth in the phone, the Wi-Fi signal, and the cell phone signal, and if you have an iPad, if you have a laptop that you're putting in your lap, that has frequencies that mankind has not seen before this generation. So a lot of, there's some science coming out that's saying it's harmful, we don't want it in our bodies. So, but particularly with EMF, with either harmonizing it or neutralizing it, what is the science saying with your devices?
Yeah, so first of all, I can tell everybody that, I'm not in the camp of Wi-Fi is only bad, because, it has positive applications, right? It makes life easier to use it. So we don't really want to miss it today. It's a convenience factor, but indeed it comes with a negative, that it is harmful. It's kind of destructive for any physiological organism, not just for humans, frankly, to plants and animals. We tend to forget about that, but they're impacted by it as well. And sometimes it's hard to find those studies, especially if you use Google to search for them. But the science is clear on that there is impact. And we've seen that also in all of the studies that were performed with our devices, because they looked at EMF and the impact quite a bit. And so the blood cells change pretty much instantly as soon as you introduce Wi-Fi or a cell phone or something like that. Or even worse, like the worst thing to do is to be in an electric car and use your phone and possibly also your laptop. Like that's the absolute full blast that you can take in, and it really, your energetic system almost collapses.
Yeah, let's get right into that, because you've set the backdrop of what we're seeing with EMFs, with Wi-Fi, and in an electric car. By that, I assume you mean Tesla? And
As an
others?
example,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, any electric car. There's also an electric Porsche, as I learned a few days ago, and others. And those cars are great, right? It's kind of cool, but we need to be aware we're exposing ourselves. And if we do that, then we want to either be completely tuned in, like our healers, that they don't need any devices, frankly, because they're so tuned in. EMFs don't matter to them. But most people don't have that ability, and then for them, they would need some tool that they don't need to worry about it.
Okay. So then, yeah, so let's talk about how do you either neutralize or, make it resonant, I believe. Is that the word you used?
Or harmonize. Yeah.
Harmonize. So how do you do it for an EMF or Wi-Fi that's in your home?
Yeah, so the quantum block or infinity block would be the easiest to use, because you can just put them in your home and they neutralize those. It's almost think of it as a spin that, well, an analogy. If I were to hit you here all the time, like really, then you're always coming back, and at some point your arm is going to hurt, right? Either the first time, depending on how hard I hit, or at some point it's going to hurt, right? But now if I introduce that energy and it's turning it into an actual massage to help you with your muscles that had been sore to help you recover, that's a completely different touch, right? And that's on an energetic level what the devices do, that the signal is still there, there's still a touch, there's still something happening, but it's happening in a way where it's positive to the human body and not harmful anymore.
I see. Okay, so you talked to me before this conversation. You showed me some studies, the science you're doing with EMFs. What are you seeing with the red blood cells that are clotting or the white blood cells that are compromised? What are you seeing as a result of using these devices?
Yeah, so here's, we brought this here from the quantum block, actually. So you can see this here, and I'll show it to the audience real quick. So this is before the use of our technology. That's just relatively unhealthy blood. You see the so-called money rolls. That means the blood cells are clogged. That is the higher risk for heart attack, for stroke, etc. And then the people would put their hands in the quantum block for 5 to 10 minutes. In this case here, just for 5 minutes. And then already after 5 minutes, it looks like this. And again, I think we have both pictures here, on this end, before and here after 5 minutes already. There's a real physical change, and that's super significant. Like every doctor that knows about live blood analysis would tell you that this is absolutely significant, that sometimes you have to work several months and a lot of treatments to get that type of change, and now that's possible in just a few minutes. So that's possible with that technology, but there are a lot of other things you can do with it too. All of them are simple, but yeah, this is just one application, literally. Like, people sometimes ask us, hey, there's this EMF device that helps with EMF. Yeah, it may help with EMF, but it doesn't do anything else. Like this does so many things, and I would say the EMF harmonization is maybe 1/10, 10% of what this does.
Okay, got it. So by just placing one of the quantum devices, the quantum block, in your home anywhere, it's powerful enough to balance or harmonize the EMF in your entire home.
Yes.
Right, so you got that covered. You also have a Heal capsule that you've sent to me, thank you, and that I've been wearing for the last few days. I forgot to bring it to Vegas. But how does that work with EMF? Can you use that instead of the quantum block?
Yes, so the quantum block and the infinity block actually enables you to make products similarly to that capsule and other products for yourself. And it's a powerful device because it covers a whole home, right? Or even a farm. The capsule is more for on the go, so it covers a radius of 2 to 3 meters. So if you wear it, you're protected. So you can go to town, you can go grocery shopping, you don't have to worry about EMF. And you could do that at home, but you would need to wear it, and then it wouldn't cover your kids, your wife, and so on. That's why the other device comes in handy for a whole family, for example. But the Heal capsule, it is not only charged with pure quantum energy, but it contains certain healing frequencies, but then also the molecular frequencies of 78 different vitamins and minerals that are important for the human body. So that as a frequency you allow your system to leverage.
I am actually quite sensitive to supplements. I've realized in the last couple of years I feel things more than others, which I don't know if that's a sign of health, but some people have told me that is. So I'll have to take the supplement while wearing the capsule and see if I notice any more differences, I should say. Okay, so let's talk about the other health applications. You talked about 78 vitamins are encoded in the frequency of the Heal capsules with these little tiny spheres that go into the capsule, which you wear around your neck. And so this is providing, I guess, the energetics of those 78 vitamins and minerals, so your body is more in health and harmony. Is that the point?
Correct. So we call it quantum frequency medicine. That's basically what it is. And you can expand that concept to various other things.
So let's expound on that, because you just touched on how to imprint or program a frequency onto something else. Like you talked about the ibuprofen or the vitamin C. What are the use cases? Why would I want to take the frequency and program it into a different device? And what are these devices typically? Are they just like a pen, or where could I program this frequency, and then what would I do with it?
Yep. You would want to program it into a metal, because plastic, as an example, or glass, they don't hold quantum energy very well, and they don't transmit it.
Yeah.
So you can change the energetic nature, but then you wouldn't have a benefit, because if you hold it, there's no field.
Yeah.
So metal, like a golden ring, a silver coin, even an aluminum card, or titanium spheres that we use for a capsule, or something brass, is great because it holds the energy well, and it transmits it outwards. So then, if you have put, let's say you need frankincense for whatever reason, you could put the frankincense frequency in there and then just have the silver coin in your pocket, and you get the benefit of that frequency while you need it. And it could be, whatever supplement you need, you can experiment with that. So it's almost a little bit like homeopathy.
Yeah.
And it's pretty difficult actually to dilute substances to have your homeopathic dose. I've done that before, actually. I know how that works. And so with our technology, it's super simple, because you literally, what you do is you take a piece of a healing plant. Let's take the frankincense, as an example. You put that in the quantum block together with the silver coin, and after 60 seconds, you're already done, and you take it out.
You've transferred the frequency to the coin.
Yes.
And the coin now goes in your pocket. The plant goes back on the shelf, whatever it is, and everybody's happy, right?
Correct.
You keep doing that. And what Philip is referring to from a quantum block, it's just like it's like this rectangle, but it's empty on the inside. So there's these plates on top and at the bottom, and so you can place food or a glass of water or other items in there, and then you can transfer frequencies between objects, right? So that's what he's talking about. And of course, there's the Heal capsule that you wear around your body, around your heart. That has the frequencies we talked about, but the infinity block is the stronger one. The quantum block is I don't want to say weaker, but a smaller version of the infinity block that's less powerful, I should say. Okay, so we talked about the devices, we talked about quantum energy, we talked about EMF, we talked about some of the science behind what's going on, and specifically with some of the studies that you have where you see blood clots in people that are exposed to Wi-Fi, or even without Wi-Fi, they have less mobile blood. But when you expose them to these energies, then the blood moves faster. Um, how long do these? Let's say I charge an aluminum card or a coin, and I'm using that in my pocket. How long does the charge hold in that coin?
Pretty much forever.
Forever.
Yeah, so I can't really say forever because we don't know what type of EMF will be introduced in 100 years, for example. But given everything today, if that didn't change, then at least it would last for 400 years. So definitely your lifetime. So
Okay, interesting. So I guess one application could be all of the supplements that I take. I could put one pill each inside, the infinity block, and then put a card or a coin, and that will encode the frequencies on the coin, and then I'll just keep the coin in my pocket as much as I can. I'm not saying, I'll
Correct.
have it at night when I'm sleeping, for example. Now, could you sleep with the heal capsule? I could wear it all day, but could I sleep with it too?
you could, some people do. We recommend at night though to take the spheres out because it can be stimulating. So it provides more energy.
Hmm.
And if you have light sleep, then I would rather take the spheres out at night or not use it. Yeah, that's what I would
I
recommend.
have light sleep, so I gotta be careful with anything that does that. So people experience more energy in their body.
Yeah, definitely,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
That's a big plus because after middle age, energy is a frequent complaint, at least that I hear from a lot of people. They're just tired. They have kids, they have family, they have a house, they're taking care of it, and by 7 or 8 p.m. they're just tired. Right? And so if that can help, and of course, energy is the cornerstone of everything in our bodies. Our body relies on energy. The mitochondria need and create energy, and so that's why it's so important to have more. Um, okay, so let's talk. There's a couple more questions I have in terms of use cases, Philip. We talked about we can program different things and what you could program: vitamin C, ibuprofen, all my supplements in one go, and so I would not wear this at sleep, right? You said don't wear it in the night, but for home, for EMF protection, you can have the big block that's providing coverage for the entire home.
Yeah, and you can
Right.
have that day and night. That's not a problem. All of our frequency cards you can use at night, and even the capsule you can,
Yeah.
but just not with the spheres.
I see.
And with the blocks, we don't suggest to put them right next to your bed
Yeah.
because it's maybe a little bit close.
A little
Yeah.
close, too much energy. What about people putting water or food in there?
Yeah, that's a great use case. So a lot of people do that, and that brings me to the Emoto Institute. You
Mhm.
may have heard of Masaru Emoto, who is the famous Japanese scientist that proved that you can change the energy in water.
Mhm.
And he found a method to visualize it by freezing water and then showing the crystals. So the Emoto Institute tested our water bottle and the quantum block, and they found that the quantum block changed the water to the positive faster than anything else I've ever seen before.
Mhm.
And they've been around for a long time, and so now they want to bring our products to Japan
Mhm.
exclusively because
cool.
they're so convinced
Yeah.
about how the products work, which is, I think, a great thing.
Yeah, that'll blow up the company real quick. Fantastic. And so you're saying I could charge devices one time, cards, and then the device lasts, or the charge lasts forever. The device itself, the infinity block or the quantum block, that will last forever as long as you don't break it, of course.
Exactly. Yes.
The heal capsule that I have at home, that will last forever. The spheres are charged perfectly and they won't lose their charge.
That is correct. Yes.
Wow. It almost sounds too good to be true, Philip.
Yeah, you don't need to recharge it really, and there's no point because the way that quantum energy works, the pure quantum energy, you're really ingraining it. It's almost as burning it into the object, and then once it's there. And we could remove it. We have a method to remove it, so it's definitely possible. And again, there may be EMFs around in 200 years that we don't know of today that
Sure.
suck out even more quantum energy out of objects or organisms as they do today. But yeah, if that doesn't change, there's no point why that energy wouldn't change. It's also kind of sealed. So if you have that capsule, for example, and you give it to a friend for 2-3 weeks and take it back, you get it back in the way that you gave it to your friend. not like a crystal. Like if you have a crystal and you give that to a friend, you take it back after 3 weeks, some of the energy of your friend will be in that crystal.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was going to ask you that.
Yeah.
So this is a unlimited form of energy. It just keeps giving.
Pretty much, yes. And the way it works, it really is, it neutralizes everything that's harmful and destructive to life and consciousness. If you understand that, then you have understood half of it. And the other half, it underlines and supports everything that's supportive to life and to consciousness. So basically it amplifies even intentions, right? It's quite crazy. We don't have to go into this whole consciousness thing and what it can do, because we can't back that up with science. But every seer, every healer that's really good can see what this technology can do. That's why I don't think there's any other company on earth, frankly, that is used by so many healers like ours, because they can amplify their own work with it. It becomes a tool for them.
I gotcha.
So that's a whole nother level that we could talk about, but we try to always, boil it down to the physical things, to the science. The heart rate variability is something I can measure. I introduce the device, I see it improves, yes, in 100% of the cases, great, let's do a double-blind study, do that and show it. Dark field microscopy, it's all things that are tangible and physical. That's what we try to focus on, but yes, there are benefits way beyond that as well.
Okay, so you have done studies with HRV and...
Yes.
Okay.
HRV, BioWell, the Emoto Institute, live blood analysis. We're doing a D-dimer study that's going to start with a clinic in Florida. It'll start in the next 3-4 weeks. That has other measurements. So there's just a lot of different things that are being done.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm excited for some more of the science to come out. Now, we are an anti-aging podcast. Anti-aging hacks is the name. And we talk about longevity and anti-aging in particular. And I know the science may not be there, but how can this technology, this quantum energy, support a longer life or even slow down of the aging process?
Yeah, so what happens is that your cells pretty much almost get an upgrade with this energy. That's what people report. That's what we can see. If your blood optimizes, obviously, what happens if you put yourself into a better physical state? Yeah, possibly you can live longer, right? We can't make these claims, obviously, because we haven't done a mice or rat study or something like that, and the technology hasn't been around for so long to see, 150 years what happens. But I think the indication is definitely there that it can help you quite significantly.
Yeah, it's certainly very promising. So I'm excited. Like I said, I'm gonna be using the Heal capsule to start, and then we'll look into getting some of the other devices that you have that cover the whole home and give you peace of mind. So Philipp, thank you so much for coming on the Anti-Aging Hack Show. Where can people find you, and where can they get some of this technology?
Great question. That reminds me, I need to provide that. So that we have a Telegram group. It's a private Telegram group with 4,000 members by now. You can't find it on Telegram. We'll provide the link for you if you like to join, and then you can learn about the technology, ask any question you have, and then you don't need to listen to me. I'll answer questions as well, but I'm active in the group. But you have thousands of other users that can tell you their own experiences, and I think sometimes that's even better than just hearing from the founder. So go there, and then leelaq.com, leelaq.com. That's our website. So.
What's the first device that people should start with? Maybe it's something that's not as expensive as the full quantum block.
Yes, great question, because indeed, you may not want to go fully in at first and just experiment a little bit. So the Heal capsule is the all-rounder, I think, that people use, because it has many different use cases and can help you in various situations in life. But then we have frequency cards, and I want to mention maybe the Inner Peace frequency card. That is also one of the best sellers, not as expensive, and it helps in all kinds of situations in regards to stress, anxiety, panic attacks, and so on.
Okay. Now, the one thing I would say probably, Philipp, is that you've got to be able to sense your body a little bit, because if you're just reacting to the world day in and day out, and you're not paying attention to your body and how it feels, then you might miss some of the benefits of any device, any technology you try. But if you kind of meditate a little bit and you get into your body and just feel how you're feeling, and then you try a new device, that might give you a better indication of how things are changing. So that's the only other thing I would say is if you're going to try any new technology, such as the Leela technology, then make sure you give it its fair share and its fair shake, and so you get the benefits that it might have for you. So with that said, Philip, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.